You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine Combat veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes, an album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687. 687.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
Get your free inventor's information. Call 1-800-353-6490. That's 1-800-353-6490. Again, 1-800-353-6490.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
I'm not ready to end the fight. I'm not ready to back down. 'Cause I've been through hell and I don't have time to go round and round and round. It's too late to turn back now. You know I wouldn't if I could. 'Cause I'm proud as hell. I can't bring myself to do what it is you think I should.
Well, good evening, America. This is Rick Robinson. We are listening to the Jen and Rick Show right here live on KLRNradio.com. My co-host Jen has returned from a short sabbatical to New York City. Not sure what possessed her to go hang out with a bunch of crazy folks, but I saw lots of cool pictures, so it looks like she had fun. Good evening. How are you?
I'm doing great. I know it seems kind of strange, but even for this girl from Texas, I love New York, and you know this, but for the audience, I have lived there in the past, and I have lots of family and friends that are all there, and so I haven't been in a number of years, which is strange for me. Normally, I travel there several times a year, so it was very nice. I was happy to be there, and the weather was great, so not hot like it's been in Texas. So it was awesome. I had a great time.
So
Sorry, I missed you.
So you heard it here first, folks. My co-host is nuts.
Yes, I know. I tend to. Maybe I like the challenge of being the conservative, like the lone conservative in a liberal bastion or something. You know, I live in Austin. I always come home to Austin. I've lived in New York, lived in LA. I've lived in Europe. So I'm used to it, so that doesn't bother me so much. I think if I had grown up in an area that was decidedly conservative and then had to try to fit into one of these cities that's liberal, I would maybe have a harder time. But I'm used to it. So, I mean, I went to a liberal university, so it doesn't bother me as much, other than just the government control thing, of course. But the people don't bother me.
Breaking news: Jen is a closet liberal. No, I'm just playing.
Absolutely not. And my liberal friends would say, don't we wish? We've been trying for 20 years.
Oh, so I have a question for those playing along at home, and I guess you can weigh in on it too. Is it my imagination, or did progressive Republicans just screw us again?
Yeah, pretty much, except for I do find it interesting that some of the people that voted, that most of the people that voted for it, that only one person from the Freedom Caucus voted against this.
I don't understand that, because they were so staunchly opposed to it last time. Something that set off warning bells for me today that maybe there's more going on with this than we realize was the fact that that McCain and Graham were both jumping up and down, screaming and yelling about what a bad idea this was.
Well, I have a thought. I have a thought that this is possibly was a show vote, that they've put forth this bill that's a mess and that's supposed to repeal and replace Obamacare. It's still terrible. And that a lot of these people didn't vote against it because There's a lot of Democrats running for several representative seats. In general, all of this malarkey about it being like sending people to their deaths and all sorts of crazy crap about how you're going to kill Americans, that they just don't want that bad publicity that's going out right now to be thrown back in their face for the moment. And the reason why I think this might just kind of be a show is because the Senate Republicans have made it pretty clear that they're not going to accept this. And in fact, several of them said, no, it won't pass the Senate, and we're going to write our own bill. So we're going to write our own legislation. So it doesn't matter what the House just passed. There's no chance of it passing the Senate. So don't even worry about it. So I find that really interesting. And I wonder, I don't know how the GOP House could not have known that to be the case. They do all sorts of testing the waters and polling and everything to see how this will go down in the other chamber. So it just seems like this was maybe throwing a bone to, I don't even know if it's Democrats or just the more centrist position, or just to Americans who are eat up with the fear mongering that has been thrown at us by the media and the Democrats.
I mean, the thing that worries me about this, and I've heard some other local pundits talking about it today, and how this really can't be viewed as any type of a touchdown or a home run or anything. But at this point, the best way to look at it is maybe as a first down, where at least we're starting to move the ball in the right direction when it comes to dealing with the mess that is Obamacare. And I understand that thought process to a point, except for now. See, because up until now, there was not a single Republican that voted for the Obamacare fiasco. So if it continued to fail, the only people that would have eventually been blamed for it were the Democrats. And that's one of the reasons why my thought process this entire time was everybody knows it's going to fail, so let it fail. And then find a way to pick up the pieces, because then we can move forward. The whole thing that irritates me about the Republicans at this point is they have run on the same mantra for going on 8 years now, and they've won 3 national elections because of it, because they kept saying, for the first 4 years it was repeal, 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 and then at about the 5 to 6 year mark it was repeal and maybe replace. And then by the time they really were pretty sure they were going to wind up with the White House, it all of a sudden became repeal and replace, repeal and replace, repeal and replace. The problem is they didn't do any of that. They renamed and maintained. And that's all they've done. They've added an extra letter. There have been some baby steps. I'm not going to say there haven't been, but we're still looking at basically a government-run nightmare that's going to wind up being a fiasco. The only thing that is positive so far is the fact that they are talking about removing or reducing the mandate. They're rolling back the employer mandate, which is one of the things that killed my wife's insurance policy and made it completely terrible, and eventually killed the insurance that we had, as basically forced Blue Cross and Blue Shield to decide to leave the state of Oklahoma altogether. And at the same time, it's still going to be a mess. I mean, I don't know of a quick, easy, down and dirty way to get this fixed, but why do we need a system like this in the first place? Why could we not have just rolled everything back to how it was before and then focused on the 12 million people they were talking about that were uninsured? That was the big deal when healthcare reform had to be done because we had so many people that didn't have access to insurance. Could we have not done something to focus on just those people and leave the rest of us alone? Because I had good insurance.
Absolutely. Most people had decent insurance, and they could choose something affordable for them because they were able to actually choose plans and choose things like a 24-year-old single male with no health conditions could choose to just have catastrophic and pay out of pocket for other things. They weren't mandated to have some sort of crazy amount of coverage that also bought into all sorts of things that he did not need, and same thing with like older women now having to have included maternity care. Well, they're in menopause. They don't need maternity care. All of it has become pretty nonsensical. And also, of course, the amount of rates rising and companies opting out and companies leaving state exchanges and leaving the exchange altogether, but in specific states especially. And then, people are just stuck with very limited choices, which, I'm not going to lie. I think that they did want limited choices. I think they wanted this kind of thing to happen I think the architects wanted something similar to this to happen. I think but what they thought would happen was that those companies that withdrew would then end up going belly up. And so it would be left with one or two companies that then the government would subsidize and they could completely control the system. I really think that was the goal in general. And it hasn't worked. Instead, people have become more angry and they are paying fines instead of taking the insurance. And in states, states have successfully sued. I mean, there's all sorts of things that go into this, that it's not just as simple as like Obamacare and here's the mandate and here's the exchange. And a lot of people have not even, it's so hard to understand. It's so hard to even grasp. And there's so many working pieces that it's like, no wonder it's a mess. You can't even, I have read so many things on it and I still cannot grasp exactly how this is supposed to work, or when, why, how, where. It doesn't make sense. It was too much of a mess to begin with and they forced it through. And now we're dealing with the fallout. And unfortunately, because it was mandated and we didn't initially just say, no, let's not do this. Let's take care of these 12 million who are uninsured. Whatever walk of life they are in, we'll expand Medicaid to include them under certain guidelines, and then go from there. And people that didn't want to be insured, the problem is that so many people that were uninsured that were included in that number were choosing to be uninsured, and they should have that right. They should be able to say, as an American, I do not want to put my money towards that right now. And you're leaving people in a lot of financial straits because you're not giving them that option anymore. And it was a misleading number because of it. They said 12 million. I bet you several million of them were actively choosing not to have health insurance. And they should be allowed to do that no matter what you think about or what the government thinks they should do. They should be able to choose that.
Exactly. And that's been part of my problem all along, because here's the thing that drives me crazy. We've in this country, we've now suddenly got the idea that the government should be in the job of fixing things when they're broken, not taking into account the fact that 9 times out of 10, if something was broken, it was usually the government that broke it in the first place. Let's not forget Ronald Reagan. One of the funniest and scariest and most potent lines I think I had ever heard the man utter was what was it? How did he say it? The scariest words in the English language. I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
I'm here to help. Yep.
But the problem is, we've now, through public education, through liberal brainwashing, whatever you want to call it, we've now raised generations of people that now think exactly that. The government is our friend. We need the government to survive. The government takes care of us. These were things that were the exact antithesis of everything that this country was founded upon. The government, when the federal government was founded, there was no federal government. In the original documentation, it was called the general government. There was no federalism. There was no broad-reaching scope of control. There was basically common defense and commerce and interstate commerce. Those were the things that the government, that we call now the federal government, was founded upon. Now, the other problem with this is we're now talking about the fact that when this country was founded, we were a union of states. Now, let's not forget the actual political definition of the word state is country. That's why we have a Secretary of State, because they are they're typically the point of the spear as far as negotiations. They go and talk to the heads of other states and the representatives of other states, feel their pulse, those type of things. The reason that's important is because we used to be completely separate states that were coming together for common things like trade and defense. That was it. The states were the laboratories of democracy. The government, the federal government, was never intended to be what it is right now. And it's one of the things that has terrified me, because I am a really big history buff. So as I got older, I started reading things about history that nobody talks about in school. Like the fact that when Abraham Lincoln was actually contemplating what was going to happen to the country after the Civil War, he had already made plans to start removing every African American and actually shipping them off somewhere. But nobody talks about that. But you can find it if you know where to look. That's my point. There are things that have been going on here for a long time that nobody talks about, nobody thinks about, and the simple fact of the matter is there was a fundamental shift during the Civil War. Because before the Civil War, when anyone referred to the United States, it was called these United States of America because they were separate, equal, and together for common defense. Now we're the United States of America with a broad-reaching, overpowered federal government that needs to be put back in its place, but nobody's going to do it because now all they do is feed the monster.
Right. And it's become this behemoth. I mean, you can't. This is why I'm so against passing any type of legislation that truly affects Americans and especially their finances in any way without very drawn out and long process, super careful consideration, and tons of research going into how this will actually affect the majority of people that will have to deal with it. Because once you do something, and especially something in which you have to add departments and hire more employees and expand buildings and things like this, it's almost impossible. I mean, putting that genie back in the bottle is damn near impossible.
And that's what we're facing now. And that's one reason why no matter how angry I get, I understand why things are not going the way that we anticipated them to be. Because the problem with government programs like this, it's no different than the income tax when they proposed it during the time of war. I think it was, was it World War I or World War II when they proposed the income tax? I think it was World War I. And it was supposed to be temporary. The thing that, again, they don't really teach anybody in history class anymore is Congress has to vote every year as to whether or not to continue to assess income tax. Guess what? Even though it was supposed to be temporary, they don't ever vote to take it back. Because guess what? Before World War I, we still had libraries, we still had schools, we still had roads, but we still got to keep at least most of our tax money, because at that point, the only entities that were allowed to do any type of taxation were cities and states. The federal government did not have the power to assess an income tax, because it was considered unconstitutional. But since World War I, they voted because we needed extra revenue, and it was something that it's part of the continuing budget. It gets voted on every year as to whether or not they're going to keep it. Guess what? They don't ever take it back. It's kind of like toll roads. I don't know about any other states, but in Oklahoma, we had this bright idea that we're going to build these highways and say we're going to charge you, and they're going to charge X amount of money each time you use this road. And once the road is built and maintained properly, it will have paid for itself, and we'll stop charging the tolls. It's now been 60 years since the first toll road was built. They're building more, and they're still charging for them every day that you use them because they just reappropriate the money. And here's the scary thing. Everybody thinks it's the state of Oklahoma that gets the money from that. Guess what? After getting involved in starting to get to know some folks that do local stuff here, most of our toll road money goes outside of the state of Oklahoma. So it's not even anything that we're getting to keep to put anywhere.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
And I bet if most people that use those roads knew that, they would be outraged.
But they won't because they don't listen to the people that try to tell them about it. And that's part of the problem. We have in this country have completely gotten to the point where we have what we think is an open mind when it comes to things like gender neutrality and racism and all these other words that are supposed to be all these ugly things that have categorized us as a country. But what we really have learned to do is close our ears because we don't listen to the things that honestly matter. Because the simple fact of the matter is I don't care what color somebody's skin is. I care about the way they treat me and treat the people around them. If you're African American and you're acting like a dork, then I'm going to call you on it. If you're a white guy and you're acting like a dork, I'm going to call you on it. It doesn't matter to me what your skin looks like. It matters to me how you treat people. And that's another problem in this country. We have gotten to the point where we are completely labeled everywhere, every which way. We're labeled by skin color. We're labeled by everything. I mean, literally everything.
I think that this kind of it brings up a point that I often kind of think about and not often have the chance to make, but that, whenever we talk about all of these things that we are so outraged by, there are all these hot button issues, usually social issues, involving all of those keywords, those buzzwords that just make people immediately offended and angry. And people can be super involved and super passionate, even if they're led astray. They're forcing a narrative instead of actually anything factual. But it's really interesting to me that people can be so incredibly outraged by something like that, which has little to no effect on the average person in this country. And even what they're fighting for already exists. So that doesn't make any sense either. But that we have become so incredibly apathetic in the main ways that government works and policies that are made, that really have very much an effect on our daily life and on our paychecks. And so things like this toll, like you're talking about with the toll roads, like people would be like, well, meh, all right. That's the thing they should be outraged about. They were sold a lie. They should be outraged about that, not about whether this one school decides this or that about a neutral bathroom or not. They should be super outraged about any number of various policies that affect their actual bank account. They should be outraged about the way that they put ridiculous regulations on and incur fees for your trash collection. They should be outraged about the monopoly that cities often have on, your electricity and how you can only go through this one power company and it's owned by the city. I mean, all of these things should be the things that really do incite outrage, and instead people have become apathetic to them and to their local government and go, meh, well, I guess that's the way it is. But holy cow, don't you dare not provide contraception, and don't you dare not bake a cake, and don't you dare not allow a man into a woman's restroom. I mean, our priorities are all out of whack.
Exactly. I mean, there's no other way to look at it. I mean, I know tonight I'm taking things more locally here, but it's been a lot more of what I've been paying attention to. Like this morning, Governor Mary Fallon was on a radio show that I listen to every day on my way into work. And it was like literally listening to Nero talk while Rome was burning. And she's just talking about how it's everybody else's fault. And the legislature won't put anything or forward any bills for spending or to change spending or curtail spending or work on the budget. And I understand that to a point. But you, as the head of that party that has control, and you as the head of our state, can't sit here and say, well, it's all their fault. That's not how any of this works. But that's what we have learned to do. That I've seen this time and time again in everybody from teenagers to people that are 60 years old. As soon as anything goes sideways in life, it's always somebody else's fault. It's not anything that they did. They're doing everything exactly the way it's supposed to happen and exactly how they're supposed to do it. And it's somebody else's fault that my alarm clock didn't go off today. It's somebody else's fault that I have a flat tire. It's somebody else's fault that I lost my job. It's somebody else. It's somebody else's fault that we can't fix spending in this state because everybody's too busy fighting about whether or not we should have a 10 Commandments monument on the frickin' Supreme Court steps. Who cares about a monument right now when we're broke? This is the same thing. What's going on in Oklahoma is an exact microcosm of everything that's wrong with our federal government right now. And it's basically, the problem is, we talk about trickle-down economics. We now have trickle-down stupidity coming from D.C. and filtering into states. Because I guarantee you, if this is happening in Oklahoma, we're not the only state this is happening in. We have people fighting over things that shouldn't matter right now. They're arguing over social issues while we're broke. They're arguing over who can use a bathroom while we just tried to implement a healthcare policy that will hurt this country, period. I understand that everybody thinks it might be a teeny tiny baby step in the right direction, but what nobody understands that at least for anybody that's paying attention, is there was not a single Democrat that voted for this. Not a single one, which means just like we were able to say the last time, when this blows up in your face, it will be you that deals with it because we didn't vote for it. Now, if this doesn't work, when it explodes, the Democrats are going to be able to go to America and say, see, we didn't vote for it. You should have given us a shot. And the cycle's going to start all over again because we're stupid and we have short-term memories. And we don't remember that the same party that says they can fix this was the same party 12 years ago that started breaking it in the first place.
Exactly. I mean, that's exactly right. But again, if you get even slightly deeper, on a deeper level than just, you're gonna be denied if you have a pre-existing condition, so your kids are gonna die, or deeper than they are not valuing this person for who he is because they won't let him. They're making him use a gender-neutral bathroom instead of letting him go in the men's bathroom. All of these things, if you go deeper than these sort of very touchy, emotional, trigger type subjects, people tune out, their eyes glaze over, and they go, meh, They don't really care. If it is not war, if it is not sex, if it is not racism, if it is not now healthcare because we're all going to die, then people just don't give a crap. But they pretend like they do. And it's why these elections have become more about all of these very shallow issues and little to do with the very real problems that we have in this country.
I really don't know what else to say, and we just came up on a break anyway.
Let's do it.
So let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to change topics because guess what? An FBI agent that was tasked with actually investigating a member of ISIS decided to run off to Syria and marry him instead. We'll talk about that when we get back. Talk about America becoming stupid.
I'm not ready to end the fight. I'm not ready to back down. 'Cause I've been through hell and I don't have time to go round and round and round. It's too late to turn back now. You know I wouldn't if I could. 'Cause I'm proud as hell. I can't bring myself to do what it is you think I should.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
To get your free inventor's information, call 1-800-353-6490. That's 1-800-353-6490. Again, 1-800-353-6490.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine Combat Veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes, an album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.
I'm not ready to end the fight. I'm not ready to back down. 'Cause I've been through hell and I don't have time to go round and round and round. It's too late to turn back now. You know I wouldn't if I could. 'Cause I'm proud as hell. I can't bring myself to do what it is you think I should.
All right, folks, we are back. We are live, already into the bottom half of the show. Now, I know this is going to disappoint some of you, but due to the fact that I am still fighting the crud, I have noticed my coughing fits are getting worse and worse while I'm on break, so there is no way that I'm going to be able to talk for an hour by myself. I'm going to take one more night off from America Off the Rails, do the regular show with Dan tomorrow night, and then hopefully manage to get this stuff beat down well enough where I can come back and start doing the show again on Monday. Because this week has not been a good week for solo shows for me because I can barely breathe. So, yay, fun times. All right, so while we were on break, I pulled up what I thought was going to be a USA Today story so that we could talk about this FBI translator or agent that left her husband and apparently married an ISIS member. But instead, when I pulled up USA Today, it loaded a video. Good news, it's done loading now, so I'm pretty sure it will play without buffering. Even better news, you don't have to listen to me read. We can hear somebody else talk about it, so here we go.
She was supposed to be investigating him, but ended up falling in love. She was working for the FBI, and he was a member of ISIS. A CNN exclusive investigation reveals FBI translator Daniela Green fell for jihadist Dana Cuthbert to the point of leaving her soldier husband to marry him. The bizarre series of events started in 2014. The German rapper known as Dezo Dog turned ISIS fighter had been featured in several videos similar to this one of him holding severed heads. The FBI tasked Green with investigating him, but in just 6 months she'd fallen in love, running off to Syria to be with him. But shortly after arriving to the war-torn area, Green realized she'd made a terrible mistake. "I've really made a mess of things this time," she emailed someone. Green left Syria and was promptly arrested by authorities. Now newly unsealed court documents show she worked with authorities in exchange for a shorter prison sentence of just 2 years for falling victim to the terror group she was supposed to protect others from.
So breaking news: FBI agent leaves husband, marries an ISIS member, commits treason, gets 2 years in jail. I remember when treason had a much heavier sentence than that.
But I'm sorry. What? How does this happen?
Remember how we were talking about how people in this country are stupid now?
I mean, this is a whole nother level of idiotic. What in the world was she thinking? That is so insane. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
I don't know. I saw his picture. All I can say is, you know that old saying, once you go black, you never go back.
No.
Unless you run off.
Well, I was going to be super sexist and be like, leave it to a woman to, lead with her, what she thinks is her heart instead of actually doing her job and keeping it businesslike. But whatever.
So leave it to a woman to lead with her vagina hat?
Well, not even that really, though. I mean, women get so much more emotionally caught up in crap. And it's like, yeah, I think it kind of affects things sometimes. The same way that they think, men leading with their penises affects how they do things and who they hire and all that kind of crap. So there's stuff on both sides there.
Well,
I'm not just sexist one way.
I won't necessarily say that it impacts the people that we hire, but I will freely admit as a man, the old story about us only having enough blood for one head at a time is not a story. It's
my point is that choices are influenced based on things often with some men, just like with women, choices are influenced based on their emotional ties and how they get caught up in things that way. So anyways, wow, that's crazy.
So, it's just interesting because, I've heard some other people talking about this, so I decided to do a little bit of digging into it today and see if I could figure out some of the backstory. Because we've been wondering how it is that someone that basically committed treason got a 2-year sentence. And I guess basically, so what she did is, remember, this was somebody that worked for the FBI. She was an FBI agent, I think. Some articles have referred to her as an agent. Others have referred to her as a translator. And I'm not exactly sure if you have to have agent status to be a translator for the FBI. Mm-hmm. So I think there may be an issue going on there. But as far as this goes, the main reason that she was tasked with this was because she was fluent in German. And this particular ISIS dipwad used to be a German rapper who apparently sucked enough that he decided he wanted to go try to blow himself up or maybe take a few other people with him.
Well, if I had to listen to German rap, I think I might want to blow myself up. So there's that.
Well, I mean, that's true. I didn't really think about that. I don't know. I mean, I have to admit, my exposure to German music is quite limited. I'm not a polka fan, and about the
just think about how the accent sounds, and then them rapping at you.
I will tell you that the one type of music that the German accent and the German iteration works well for is heavy metal, because I remember the group Rammstein, and there's only one song they ever did that I liked, but I absolutely loved it, and part of it was because the German language is just so guttural, and so they start yelling things in German with that heavy metal guitar, and it's like, oh, this is pretty cool. And then I listened to the other 5 or 6 songs I think they tried to do. I was like, yeah, maybe not so much, but that one was really good.
Okay, well, I don't want to hear anything in German ever. Just saying. And one of my best friends is fluent.
Note to self: load Rammstein next week for the bumpers.
All right, sorry. Go ahead. So the 2 years.
But no, she basically gets a 2-year sentence, but it turns out, it looks like, at least according to this particular article, she got a lighter sentence because she agreed to basically return to work with the FBI as an informant. I don't know, half dozen of one, six of the other, but still.
I mean, I would guess that she would at least, that she would be somewhat valuable, so be able to negotiate some sort of, thing there. But still, I mean, I guess if you're not really that valuable, then it's a little bit different than like a soldier deserting to go join ISIS or something like that. I mean, she was maybe not even an actual agent of the FBI, just employed by the FBI. And who knows if she had any sort of value at all in that position. But I would imagine that if she actually did go to Syria and spent time with this man, then she would have some information that they would want to trade for.
So, I mean, I guess the part of this that I'm curious about, because at first I wondered if I'd come across a different story, and I was like, there haven't been 2 people in this country stupid enough to do the same thing recently, because I didn't know from the little bit that I had heard from a couple other sources that she was married at the time that she had done this. So apparently she leaves her soldier husband, but somehow in 6 months manages to leave her husband, who is a soldier, go to a foreign country, and marry someone else. I've never seen anybody able to get a divorce in 6 months or less.
Well, maybe she didn't actually obtain one, because who cares? You're going to live with cave dwellers.
Well, this is true. I mean, I guess Syria probably.
And what do they give a crap about American legal documentation of a divorce?
You know.
You know.
I have a feeling that she got over there, and Mr. Ahmed Hamdou was like, "Hey, go make me a sandwich," and she's like, "This is not what I signed up for. I'm going home."
He's like, "You're only allowed to show your eyes, and you're never allowed to talk to another male again, even if it's, the guy selling the bread." And you're like, "Oh wait, what? I'm sorry. I thought that the hijab stood for liberation and solidarity, and freedom of religious expression. I didn't realize it was actually oppression, like all those big meanie conservatives said."
You know what the actual deal breaker probably was? The goat tied up in the spare bedroom.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Or the 20 other women that he already had waiting for her to sister wife with.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is right. Well, speaking of people that are crazy, did you see today that after the executive order for the executive order on religious liberties today, which ended up being like what is it even? It's like not even anything. Even the ACLU, their tweet was, "We thought we'd have to sue Trump today, but it turned out the order signing was an elaborate photo op with no discernible policy outcome." So they didn't even raise a stink. So for people, if anybody wanted to know whether this was a win for religious liberty or whether this was something that the left should be outraged about, all you had to do was look at the ACLU, not freaking out about this at all, and know that basically this was nothing. What happened today was nothing. So they said, after careful review of the order's text, we have determined that the order does not meaningfully alter the ability of religious institutions or individuals to intervene in the political process. The order portends, but does not yet do harm to the provision of reproductive health services. So all it really does is say that they'll re-examine the Obamacare mandate for the contraceptive services that, of course, is in the courts right now and people were really upset about. So I always find it funny when you're expecting to see a string of tweets from the ACLU or a statement put out or someone screaming on national television and they were like, "Yeah, you know what? Turns out we're all right. We're good with it. Meh."
Oh, yeah, no. I don't know. I didn't know the ACLU was like, "Hey, yeah, never mind. We're just going to go back over here."
Yeah, they were basically like, "Man." So if anybody that was trying to say, "Oh, it was so awesome what Trump did today, his executive order that is going to restore religious liberty and no more of this and no more." Yeah, no, it didn't do any of that. It was symbolic. It was pretty much nothing else. And, by the way, this is something that a lot of presidents do, and they are all mostly symbolic. So that's not necessarily, out of form or a bad thing. It's just don't act like this was some very influential executive order if even the ACLU and the liberal press was not going crazy with it.
Oh. Speaking of things the liberal press doesn't really seem to be saying too much about, Mr. Obama, former President Obama, has interjected himself in politics again, but not really American politics. Apparently he's made a video endorsing a French candidate for president.
Oh, brother.
So, weren't the Democrats the one that were like getting all upset because Russia was trying to
about influencing elections,
influencing and interjecting themselves into elections,
which, by the way, is not the first time Obama has done this.
Oh no!
Maybe the first time he's made a video, but I mean, he very much was outspoken and very involved in speaking to various countries' publics about their elections. Mm-hmm. So it's not exactly a line he's not willing to cross. He always was it. He just didn't want it happening when it meant his party was going to be left in ruins.
Dude. He didn't just cross the line. He backed up about 50 paces, sprinted, and took a flying leap over the base.
Exactly.
On multiple occasions. Let's not forget his interjection in Saudi Arabian politics, his interjection in Libyan politics, his interjection in Iranian politics. Need I go on? Oh, let's not forget
Israeli
Israel.
politics.
Yeah. See, same page.
Absolutely. Well, funny though, like talking about interjecting in politics, you've seen Hillary's non-apology tour, right? Her non-apology tour that's been going on.
Wait, you mean there's a former presidential candidate doing exactly what I was talking about 15 minutes earlier in the show, where nothing's her fault? So she's not really sorry.
Exactly. So today, the New York Daily News, Gersh Kuntzman, who was a huge Hillary supporter and who very much detests Trump, has had enough. And here's something that she said. He basically said, I'm not a friend, but I respect, how Trump's the president. And he said, one, she was indeed untrustworthy. Remember her feigning spell. Remember how long it took for her to tell the truth. Remember how that reminded every voter in America that Hillary Clinton's first instinct is to lie, just like she did on the sniper fire, just like she did with her private email server. And beyond that, she was too close to the Clinton Foundation. And how she refused to give an answer about, the Clinton Foundation having open channels to her as Secretary of State. Then he said she ran a very poor campaign. She'll point out on page 1 that she stayed on message when Donald Trump shambled and grabbed blank all over the place. But Clinton did not have a message beyond, I'm not with stupid. I thought that was great. And he said she had an entire party establishment clearing the decks for her and giving her the debate questions even, and she was running against a madman. But when she called half the country the basket of deplorables, it was pretty much over. She set up a private email server, and it's basic. The only reason to set that up and delete some of the emails on it is because you want to hide them from the public. She never provided a good answer to the simple question, why would you do that? 4, those Goldman Sachs speeches, and you can't be a prostitute on Wall Street and then go to church on Main Street. Hillary Clinton's failures gave us Donald Trump, and she refuses to acknowledge them. So anyways, he said he also went further and said blaming Comey and misogyny and racism and or that the fact that people are racist, which is why they voted for Trump, and all of these other things. And he said basically, like, this is my favorite part. The American public does not want a book from Hillary Clinton. It wants an abject apology, and it wants it for free. She got what she deserved. She lost. Now she needs to shut up and go home. I mean, that is quite a hit on someone who was from someone who was an ardent supporter. But this is what she's been doing. She's been going around on this non-apology tour, and any suggestion that someone who is interviewing her comes up with for what may have been a reason for her loss that blames anybody but her or her staff, she takes and runs with. And then she says, "Oh no, I know I'm partly responsible, but mainly it's maybe even." WikiLeaks and the Russians and the this and the that and all the sexists and all the, and people are just sick of it, including some Democrats. This isn't the first thing I've seen like this. It's the first journalist I've seen, right? It's not the first of her party, though, or of her supporters that I've seen say, dude, enough already. Like, you lost, apologize, say you ran a crappy campaign, and go home.
So, not to go backwards, but since we're kind of coming up towards the end of the show anyway, I actually managed to come across an interesting piece of audio. So we're going to let this run and then discuss for the last few minutes. It only runs for about 52 seconds.
Maybe even better. It's a very good bill right now. The premiums are going to come down very substantially. The deductibles are going to come down. It's going to be fantastic health care. Right now, Obamacare is failing. We have a failing health care. I shouldn't say this to our great gentleman and my friend from Australia, because you have better health care than we do.
They do have...
So, I'm not going to let the rest of it play. But Trump, in the presser, was sitting across from the Australian Prime Minister and actually said that Australia has better health care than America. Australia has universal health care.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there. They have universal health care.
So, wait, are we back to what he wanted before he was running for president, where he had always talked about single-payer universal health care, and maybe that's really how he feels, which is why he thinks Australia's is better? Or does he feel like most people argue that countries that have universal health care have better health care because and especially now that we have Obamacare, that he's saying, well, yours is better because we've got this crap Obamacare? I don't know.
I don't know either, but
Or he's just Trump and he doesn't really know what he's saying and he's just doing what he does.
After his 4 or 8 years potentially, I have a feeling he'll be the next one to do a non-apology tour, and it'll all be the teleprompter's fault.
Oh, well, he will certainly do a non-apology tour. I don't even... That doesn't even cross my mind that he won't, because he's never going to accept responsibility for anything, no matter what happens, no matter what goes wrong, I mean.
Well, yeah, anything that goes right, he's going to accept responsibility for. And the problem is...
Even if he had nothing to do with it, he'll accept responsibility for it.
No, especially if he had nothing to do with it, will he
Right.
accept responsibility for it? That's like, what was it? It was like a month after he was sworn in, and he started talking about how much better the economy was doing already. That doesn't have anything to do with you yet, sir.
Right, exactly. No, that's his MO. So he'll always kind of, skate away from all the negative and be like, no, that's not true, or I don't know what you're talking about, or that was so and so's fault, and screw them. Or he'll and then if it's anything good, he's gonna be like, well, that's because of me. Because it's my plan. Because I'm bigger and better, and everything I do is best.
See, America, I told you I was a great negotiator. It was huge.
Yep. The art of the deal, man. The art of the deal.
More like the art of the squeal at this point, but whatever. I don't know how we got here. I mean, I intellectually country, the federalization of education, all of the things that have gotten us to this point. But I don't, with as independent as we used to be, and as self-reliant as this entire country used to try to be, I still, in my heart, even though my head gets it, I don't get it.
I mean, it's a hard thing to wrap your head around. I mean, when you just look at the prospects from before this election season and the excitement and the hope and the looking forward, especially for conservatives and right-leaning people and politicians that we had coming up, I mean, it just seems like this is some sort of weird alternate universe, that this is how we ended up. But here we are, and that time before all this seems like ages ago.
Yeah, unfortunately, yes, it does. All right, so we are actually coming up toward the end of the show. However, I do want to take just a moment, because we only get to do this about once a year. Let me find something here, because I had it ready, and then I accidentally removed it, so... In honor of May the 4th. Sorry, had to do it. May the 4th be with you.
And also with you.
So it's interesting because I've heard other people that have, done the whole May the 4th, and then it's... and then it's what and I haven't really heard a good one for May the 6th, but the one that I've heard, or May the 5th, but the one I've heard a lot lately for May the 6th is Revenge of the 6th, which I thought was kind of
That's
cool.
funny. That's funny. Yeah, actually, we drove home. We flew in to Dallas last night, and we drove home to Austin from there. So we got in at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and my brother lives in Dallas, so he stayed there, of course. And my mom texted him to say, hey, we made it home, and he said, okay, thanks, Mom. And she said, may the 4th be with you. And he died. He's a huge Star Wars fan. So that he posted that, and it was all over Facebook today, which was hilarious. Their little text conversation and my mom getting in on the action. So pretty cute.
Oh, it was funny. There was a bunch of us at work that decided to add a Rogue One twist to it today. We were all running around going, I am one with the 4th. The 4th is one with me.
That's good. That's really good. Oh, awesome.
All right, so believe it or not, we are officially out of time. Why don't you remind folks where it is that they can hang out with you when you're not on the radio listening to me yell about crazy people and things in general.
Yes. Come find me on Twitter at jhomestead, JR Homestead on Facebook, and check out my website, misfitspolitics.com.
All right, and of course, I am Rick Robinson. Typically, I do multiple shows a week. This week has just been kind of one of those ones where I just have not been able to keep up very well, which is why I was a little more fired up than usual tonight, because it's been a few days since I've done a show. But usually you can find me every Monday through Thursday on America Off the Rails at 11 p.m. Eastern, right here on Jen and Rick on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 p.m. Eastern, and then Robinson and Wright Friday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern. And, of course, various outlets where most of the shows get heard elsewhere. So, shows are also available on places like SoundCloud, Stitcher, FM Player, iTunes. So, wherever you're listening to us, just thank you for taking the time to do that. We are out for the night. Again, there will be no America Off the Rails tonight, only because just in the few minutes that I've been sitting here doing the show with Jen, I've realized that I've had to hit my mute button in an inordinate amount of times, which works really well when you have somebody else to talk with, but not so good when you're talking by yourself. So we're going to take one more night off, try to rest the lungs just a little bit more, and then try to take a run and start it next week. But we will be back live tomorrow night for Robinson and Wright, because I have a co-host for that one, so if things get too bad, I can mute again. On that note, we're out, folks. Take care. God bless.
I'm not ready to end the fight. I'm not ready to back down. 'Cause I've been through hell and I don't have time to go round and round and round. It's too late to turn back now. You know I wouldn't if I could. 'Cause I'm proud as hell. I can't bring myself to do what it is you think I should.